Yeah, so I was supposed to be posting a video of me drunkenly trying to tell the story of the tortoise and the hare. Turns out that I have way too much self-respect to do so. So now we're talking about Socrates and his life. Well, a very basic rundown of his life. So, yeah, that's gonna be fun. Okay, so Socrates. Who was this guy? Well, Socrates was basically the daddy of Western philosophy. I think he's mostly known for this thing called the Socratic Method. Now, basically what the Socratic Method is, at least from my understanding, it's questioning someone in a way that encourages critical thinking. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, the sites that I used a lot of flowery language. Honestly, I was so lost. It was like reading an Oscar Wilde book. It's like, man, I already know that you're better than me. Why do you have to rub it in? Anyway, so this was basically Socrates. He was born in Athens. His mom was a midwife and his dad was a stonemason. So it's safe to say that he didn't come from any form of nobility. Education-wise, he most likely got a basic Greek education, which was the education at the time that was offered to individuals of a lower class. When he was done with his schooling, he decided to follow his dad's footsteps and become a stonemason. And he was actually a stonemason for a couple of years before, one day, while he was doing his stonemason stuff, cutting stones, moving them, and probably working up a nice Greek tan, the man had an epiphany and he was like, man, I should really dedicate my life to philosophy. And so he did. He became a philosophical teacher and started giving lectures to people within Athens. I would assume that he wasn't much of a traveler. I mean, these were during the times where venturing outside of the city limits would mean death. But honestly, I'm not that sure. During his career as a philosophical teacher, he meets this woman that goes by the name of Xanthippe. Now, Xanthippe is a fan of Socrates, so much so that she fell in love with Socrates by listening to his lectures. Oh, honey, no. 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 But anyway, they got married. Socrates didn't really love his wife. It wasn't really her that she loved, but it was mainly her resilient nature that he adored. In fact, there was a rumor at the time that Socrates was actually in love with somebody else. Apparently it was a military commander, but again, I'm not sure whether this is a rumor or if it's canon, so please take whatever I say with a pinch of salt. Honestly, if this is true, I feel bad for Xanthippe. Oh, that poor woman. Yeah, so Socrates and Xanthippe ended up having 3 sons, and Socrates was as good a father as he was a husband, meaning that he was inattentive and really didn't care much for what they had to say. Socrates seemed to be more interested in investing his time educating young boys in Athens than paying attention to his kids. Does anyone else feel slightly uncomfortable? Like, I feel like I need to go and take a shower after saying that. Moving on. So, Socrates wasn't leading that lavish of a lifestyle. In fact, the man lived in poverty. Xanthippe would routinely complain about how Socrates wasn't making enough to provide for the family. Now, how exactly Socrates supported himself financially as a philosopher is up to debate. Some philosophers theorized that Socrates accepted payment for lectures, and other philosophers theorized that Socrates did not accept payment for his lectures and he did them totally for free. Honestly, both arguments make sense, but I'd prefer to go with the latter. Mainly because Socrates seemed like a man who cared more about spreading knowledge about philosophy than he did money. I mean, this was a guy who cared about philosophy so much that he even died for it. Funny story, actually. So in around 399 BCE, someone decided to accuse Socrates of corrupting the minds of the youth and heresy. Yeah, so Socrates was arrested and called to court and tried before the jury. Now keep in mind that these were times before judges and stuff, so it was basically Socrates trying to convince a bunch of people to leave him alone. Yeah, so Socrates decided to defend himself in court. Instead of claiming to be wrongly accused and trying to prove his innocence, he tried to explain to the jury that he was playing a prominent role within the community as he encouraged young people to question how and why things were. So basically what he was saying is, I'm guilty, but I'm right. And here's my reasoning. His argument didn't do that well with the jury. They decided that he was guilty with a vote of 280 to 221. Oh wow. So many people at the trial. Damn. Now, Socrates was initially sentenced to death, but as per ancient Greek law, the jury asked him whether he had an alternative punishment in mind. Usually, people in Socrates' position would opt for exile instead of death, but Socrates was a special kind of man, and I kid you not, this guy asked the jury to be honored in Athens for enlightening them with his words, and he also asked that he get paid for his services. The balls on this man. Yeah, so as a result of his smart assery, the jury happily sentenced him to death, which was a conviction Socrates happily accepted. In fact, his friends were sadder about his execution than he was. The man was oddly ready to die. He was executed using hemlock poison soon after, which was something that he didn't hesitate to take. And that's the end of Socrates. Yeah, and that's also the end of the video. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and so on. Hopefully I'll see you guys next week, or the week after that if I'm very lazy. Ta-ta!